Okay, so today we are diving deep into The Obsidian Knot. It's this incredible thriller that really centers on a single number and a killer's obsession with what he calls a perfect final judgment. But what happens when that so-called perfection is actually just a grand deception?
Everything, and I mean everything, boils down to this number, 12. For our killer, Professor Vance, this wasn't just some random number. Oh no. It was a symbol of absolute, perfect completion. He envisioned a flawless set of 12 judgments, and each one was sealed with its own unique, incredibly intricate knot. It was his final word on people he decided were hypocrites.
And this is where our story really kicks off. Vance has escaped custody, and you'd think the city would be celebrating. But Detective Rexford, he just can't shake this awful feeling. He knows a guy like Vance, a man obsessed with details, doesn't just leave a job unfinished. So let's put ourselves in Rexford's shoes for a minute. He is absolutely convinced, with this chilling certainty, that a man this meticulous, this obsessed, he wouldn't just stop. Not at 11 victims. Not when his entire twisted philosophy is built around the number 12. You see, Rexford's conviction isn't just some cop's hunch. It is based on a crucial piece of evidence. Get this. The 12th knot, what Vance called the executioner's coil, was found already tied and ready to go when they first caught him. He had his final knot prepared before he even named his final victim. This wasn't some plan that got interrupted, it was always a countdown to the end. So, how in the world do you find a killer who's already vanished into thin air? It's not going to be forensics. It's not going to be some lucky break. No. You have to start thinking like him. You have to crawl inside that twisted, symbolic logic of his. And while sifting through Vance's belongings, Rexford finds this, a simple newspaper clipping. It's an article by a journalist named Jake Harmon, and it's the very same expose that Vance used to justify his entire bloody crusade. I mean, the irony here is just staggering. Okay, so here is the diabolical twist. Harmon's article, it gave Vance the very validation he was craving. But, and this is a huge but, Harmon also betrayed his own sources. He named every single whistleblower to sell his story. Now, for a man like Vance, whose entire psychosis is built on punishing hypocrisy, well, that was the ultimate sin. Harmon had just unknowingly nominated himself as victim number 12. This is where we really see Rexford's genius shine. He sees that note in Harmon's apartment, and he instantly knows it's a trap. Vance would never be that obvious. No, he'd go somewhere symbolic. The Library of Records, the very place where Harmon bound his legacy by filing away the sources he'd later betray. It's just brilliant deduction. And so the team descends into the archives. You can just imagine it. The air is thick with the smell of old paper, dust, and decay. The shelves tower over them like a maze, and you just know, somewhere in those shadows, Vance is waiting. When they finally find Vance, he's not standing over a dead body. No, he's with a living trophy. It's Jake Harmon, perfectly paralyzed by some kind of neurotoxin, forced to sit there, his eyes wide open, staring at the records of his own betrayal. In Vance's mind, it's a fate far worse than death. And when Vance speaks, it's not a confession. Not at all. It's a declaration of victory. He doesn't see himself as a killer. He sees himself as an artist, a judge, some force of nature correcting the world's moral imbalances. To him, this isn't a crime. It is the grand completion of his life's work. But Vance is a master of chaos. All it takes is a simple feint, a thrown bundle of cord, a hard shove against a massive shelf, and the entire archive just erupts. It's a storm of falling paper and dust. And in all that confusion, he's gone. He just vanishes. So we go from the dusty archives to the rain-slicked rooftops of the city. The chase has reached its absolute climax. You've got the whole city sprawling below, a silent witness to this final dramatic act. Up on that rooftop, it's not just a fight between two men anymore. It's a battle of ideologies. You have Vance, torch in hand, literally ready to burn down what he calls the lies of the past. And then you have Rexford, gun drawn, determined to uphold the law, no matter how flawed it might be. The whole rooftop scene is just a blur of motion. Vance lights the accelerant he poured into the vents, but Rexford, with one single, incredibly precise shot, disables the fan.
The fire's out, but the fight is so far from over. Vance, absolutely enraged, charges. They grapple right there on the slippery edge of the abyss, and then he goes over. Rexford has him. He's got him by the jacket, dangling over a sheer drop. But when he looks into Vance's eyes, he doesn't see fear. He sees triumph. With this final, chilling smile, Vance wrenches himself free from his own jacket and just falls. He chose his own end. He tied his own final knot.
So the killer is dead. The last victim is safe. The case is finally closed, right? Well, in a story this intricate, there is always one last knot to untie.
The city celebrates. The news is reporting the end of a nightmare. Vance's perfect set of 12 is complete. But for Rexford, something still feels off. There's a loose thread that he just can't quite grasp. And then he finds it. One last entry in Vance's book, a 13th knot. It's called the Hangman's Loop. And unlike all the others, this knot isn't designed to bind. It's designed to snap. It's a knot for a sudden, violent end, and it changes absolutely everything. The perfect 12 was a lie. It was a misdirection. It was a story Vance told the world, and maybe even himself. There was always a 13th knot, a 13th victim, and the story ends not with an answer, but with a question that's going to haunt Rexford and probably us forever. Who was the real final target all along?